Number 4. This is my first time posting here, but I've been pretty much obsessively reading the stories on here for the past week or two. Let's give some backstory. On the 13th, I had my wisdom teeth removed. Before that, I had a cavity in one of them that caused excruciating pain to radiate in the entire right side of my mouth. Within this past month, I've been on 2 prescription pain medications. This is the first time I've ever required them. And it turns out that prescription grade pain medication messes heavily with my anxiety. I've been paranoid all morning. There's been sounds all through my apartment, in the attic, and from empty Oreo packets, etc. It's been just over a month since I moved in with my boyfriend, and my paranoia wasn't terrible until the pain meds. But with him having a set scheduled job, and me not having one, I work retail. The schedule is a week by week play. Being home alone in the morning some days since my extraction have been hell, especially when I've been reading the stories. So I started out today paranoid, trying to do schoolwork, chores, anything I can to distract myself and make the time pass. Finally 3 o'clock hits and I go, fuck it, I can't be in this house any longer right now. I need to go get that baking pan for dinner tonight anyway. So I get up, I change out of my sweats into some jeans, and I leave. No makeup, and hair only brushed. It's nice weather outside, and my body is weird with heat, so I sweat a little on my drive. I get to Walmart. Walmart. And I go inside, saying hello to a greeter and grabbing my basket, then go into the home goods. I'm on the hunt for a baking pan, but I pause in an aisle that has cutting boards, because I'm unsure if my boyfriend had one. He moved down here from another state some months ago, but didn't do much hardcore cooking. So I started looking at those. Out of the corner of my eye, I see someone with a cart coming into the aisle. Due to how I was raised, and also just wanting to be polite, I lived in a more southern state in the US. We're all kind of polite here. Or fake being polite. I look up and start moving closer to the shelves. It's an older man. To me, I'm an 18-year-old female, and he's in his 40s or 50s, and he's looking right at me. Excuse me, has anyone told you that you're looking beautiful today? His tone seems sincere enough, but it throws me off. My boyfriend has, I responded almost as a reflex. I don't want to get into a conversation with this dude. A brief flash of disappointment crosses his face, and he breaks eye contact with me, instead looking in the direction his cart is facing. Well, now you've been told twice, he says, starting to move along. I have, I responded, as chipper as ever. Thank you. He moves down the aisle, and I take one last glance at the cutting board before I decide to move on to find the baking pan. To my look, they're in the next aisle. I needed a specific size, so I go on the hunt for it, looking intently, picking up different pans and comparing prices. Then, I see a cart coming from my right down the aisle. I look up, a bit stunned to see that it's the same older man. I try not to think anything of it, making eye contact again and giving a half-hearted smile before looking back at the pans. He browses, then seems to pause almost right behind me. I'm intensely uncomfortable, so I grab a pan that seems like it would fit my needs, then leave the aisle. Something in me, a mix of my desire for a cutting board, and the curious part of me, wondering if I was being rational in thinking of this guy being a creeper, decided to stop again in the cutting board aisle. The one where the dude told me I was beautiful. Lo and behold, as I'm looking again at the cutting boards, from the aisle mouth closest to me, the dude comes down again. I look at him again, then go back to looking at the cutting boards. He walks down the aisle. I choose a cutting board, and decided to have a glance at the knives above them. And I see from the corner of my eye, this guy turning his cart around, and coming back towards me. I look more intensely at the knives now. I pick them up, looking them over, wanting him to see what I'm looking at, because I can feel his eyes on me. He's moving slowly. His cart gets right behind where I'm standing, and pauses. I can feel him either looking at the knives over my shoulder, or just looking at me. I can't stand it. I put a knife quickly in my basket and I dart off, not looking back. I ended up going to the self-scan at the other end of the store that I was parked, and also took the long way out to my car, just in case. I'm still not sure if I'm being paranoid, or if I had a reason to be freaked out. But seriously, older man from Walmart? Let's never meet again. Number 3. One day when I was younger, my mum and I visited my aunt's apartment. It's a giant looking house with a side driveway that leads around the back to a small parking lot for tenants, with the house entrances being off to the side facing away and hidden from the busy street. I don't remember how old me and my cousin were, but to the best of my memory, we were both somewhere around the ages of 8 and 12, with her being slightly older than I. It was still midday and we were all hungry, so my mum and aunt decided to go shopping, and were then going to pick up a pizza on the way back for us all to eat. Me and my cousin were ecstatic, as we loved pizza. Our parents left and me and my cousin were sat watching TV, with the volume really low while browsing on our laptop. It's probably about 25 minutes after our parents left when we started seeing the front door lock shaking. We thought our parents were back home, but then we noticed something suspicious. Instead of the locks to the door quickly turning as if our parents got back, we instead saw that the locks were very slowly turning to unlock. We suddenly both realised that it wasn't our parents, and definitely an intruder. We both stared at the front door silently, freaked out and frozen. I always thought those horror movies where the actors stand frozen in fear like idiots were fake, but it was this moment that proved the idea wrong. As we both stood there frozen in horror, we saw the top lock finally turn all the way, after what felt like half a minute. Then we started to see the bottom lock slowly start to turn. The door was probably half a second from being unlocked completely, when suddenly, my cousin breaks free from being frozen in fear and sprints to the door and turns both of the locks to prevent the door from being opened. We dared not to look out of the second story window to see who was trying to get in. We were horrified and stayed quiet waiting in the living room. We didn't say a word to each other, and just sat there on the couch. It was about 15 minutes later until our parents got home, and when we told them about the whole ordeal, they were shocked. We don't know what would have happened if my cousin didn't sprint to lock the door, but to this day, I can still remember very vividly seeing the door lock shaking rapidly and slowly turning. It was definitely very scary. Number 2. Being from a third world country, you see a lot of shit happening all over. You never think it's going to happen to you. After all, you're careful. You know better. You mind your own business and everything is going to be 5 by 5. My mum is one of the strongest women I know. She's one of 15 siblings, which I think toughened her up and made her a woman of strong morals and a no-nonsense attitude. She's one of the oldest of her siblings, so she has that nurturing, mama bear thing down. She'll take crap from no one, and when confronted with fight or flight, she'll fight every single time. Like the one time my mum was picking up my sisters from kindergarten, and some arsehole tried to snatch her purse. She took notice of him walking towards her, with no good intentions, and she told my sisters to hold on to her skirt. And when the man made his move, she just pressed her thumbs against the man's eyes and scratched him wherever she could reach. She's got a mellow later in life, but for me, she's still the epitome of love and strength. This is a story of how I almost lost my mum to road rage. I was 10. It was a Sunday and I had gone to the swimming pool with my friends. My dad was supposed to pick me up at around 5 PM. By 7 PM, I was fuming, angry, and decided to walk back to my house. It's probably a 20-minute walk. I got home and was mad, and my sisters were scolding me because it was dark, and it was dangerous for a 10-year-old to be walking back on his own, and that dad had gone to pick me up like 5 minutes ago. I didn't care. I was pissed off. I just walked into my parents' room to give my mum a piece of my mind, because I couldn't tell dad off, and I found her sobbing and in distress. I asked her what was going on. She was angry at my dad, and she didn't want to talk to him again. My anger faded, and curiosity struck me instead. Turns out, at around 4:30 PM, when my dad was going to come pick me up, He was coming back from his farm, and some dude cut him off, and Dad, who unfortunately has some road rage, honked his horn, pulled down the window in my mum's side, and yelled a bunch of obscenities. The dude in the other car lowered his window, pulled out a gun and started shooting at my dad's car. Dad hit the brakes and let the other car pull further away. They stopped and got out the car to catch their breath. And that's when my mum saw a hole in the space between the passenger front door and the passenger back door. A bullet nearly missed my mum's head, and she was hysterical. They got home and my mum broke down, and my dad had to calm her down. Thus he was pretty late for picking me up. It's probably not as scary for some other people, but the thought I may have lost my mum at the age of 10 scared me shitless. It's been 20 years since that day, and sometimes it randomly pops into my head, and I have to talk myself off that ledge when I wonder, what if? Number 1. This is an experience that's been bothering me for years, so I felt I should finally post about it somewhere, just in case it's helpful in some way. I used to live up in a subdivision in the middle of nowhere, north of Divide, Colorado. Our gravel street ended in a cul-de-sac, and we were the middle house of the three at the end of the street, which was on the side of a hill. Because we were pretty far away from anything, I was a latchkey kid, and was usually home alone for a few hours after school. This took place in the early 80s when I was about 8 or 9 years old. One day, shortly after the bus dropped me off and I got home, I saw someone pull into the driveway. I didn't recognise him, so I hid behind our wood-burning stove in the corner. He came up and started insistently knocking on the door and looking in the window. He then strangely tried the doorknob. He just wouldn't stop knocking. So I came out thinking, if this guy was a burglar and he saw me, maybe he'd go away. When he saw me, he asked, through the door which had a window pane, if I could open the door, and I replied my dad was in the shower. He didn't react and said that he was here to see my neighbours, and he mentioned them by name. I told him they lived next door in the house on the left. He said okay, seemed a bit frustrated, but started walking away to his car. But instead of getting in his car, he started walking around my house. The house was built on the side of a hill, so it had a walkout basement. I started freaking out at this point. This wasn't normal, and I thought he was trying to get in through the sliding glass door in the basement, which was locked. I got ready to jet out our door and into the woods, but then I saw him come up the other side of the house, get into his car, and tear out of the driveway up the gravel road. He never did go to see my neighbours, who he said he was looking for. Sobbing, I picked up the phone and called my neighbour halfway up the street, who had a son my age and used to watch me sometimes. She said she'd seen the car speed up the gravel road and told me to go over. So I took off running through the woods to my neighbour's house, avoiding the roads in case he turned around and came back. Of course I told my parents, but I don't really think they let it sink in, and since my neighbours weren't home, they said he probably just mistook our house for theirs. From my standpoint, I'm pretty sure if I opened that door, I would not be here today. No one randomly drives down my street, much less in the subdivision in the middle of the mountains where I lived. And I never saw the guy at my neighbour's house. I vaguely remember my parents asking my neighbours if they knew the guy based on the description. Shorter white guy, round glasses, long brown hair, slightly balding, and a longish beard. But they didn't know who it might be. I've always felt he knew I was there alone, based on his non-reaction to me saying my dad was in the shower. He knew the layout of the house, which is why he walked down the side of the house to the walkout basement, and preferred to not leave any physical evidence, which is why he didn't break in. Not sure if my neighbours knew him or not, but because of the remoteness of the location, and the fact we often played in the woods, I'm pretty sure if I did get snatched, they would have chalked it up to me getting lost or hurt, wandering around. We moved out of state a year or so later. Never heard of any of the local kids going missing. But I can't believe that this guy didn't try to make someone else disappear. Well, anyway guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed then please like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any stories of your own which you would like to have shared, please make sure to contact me, link in the description, and you may be featured in a future video. Also, apologies that there haven't been that many Let's Not Meet videos recently. I'm hoping to get some more up soon, but we'll just have to see what happens. Well, anyway, I hope to see you soon, and I'll speak to you later.